Good morning, beloveds. So I feel like I have something in one of my eyes. We'll see how this goes today. So if like my eyes start watering, that's why. I don't know what's going on, but it's driving me crazy. All right, beloveds. It is May 23rd. I am perfect and complete is our title. Our first quote is, I have not written unto you because ye know not the truth, but because ye know it, and that no lie is of the truth. And that is 1 John 2:21. And then the next quote is, this is God your Lord, all power is God's, but the gods ye call upon besides it have no power over the husk of a date stone. And that is from the Quran. All right. Which tells me that this is an Ernest Holmes writing. There is no power, presence, or person outside of the divine. God not only is, God is also one. Our lesson from the Quran says that a belief in any opposite to the one has not power, but a knowledge of good overcomes evil. The consciousness of abundance dispels want and pours the contents of the horn of plenty into our uplifted bowl of acceptance. John tells us that there is no lie in the truth. The truth never contradicts itself. It never denies us our good. It evermore proclaims the divine presence in everything and through everything. If God is allness, then there is no otherness. All anxiety about our affairs today or tomorrow dictates, then, unbelief. The ancient sages knew that perfected people find that they already have everything within themselves, after which they discover the same in others. This corresponds to the teachings of Jesus that the blind cannot lead the blind. We must know the truth about ourselves before we can know it about others. The truth about me is that I bear the image of God, and therefore am capable of expressing my life perfectly and completely. I know that this very knowledge enables me to be free. Today, I let it free me from the burden of care and anxiety. Every form of fear, every sense of lack is dropped from my consciousness, and I walk forth joyously. E.H. So that's Ernest Holmes. I suspected it was an Ernest Holmes writing because there was not a quote from the Science of Mind text. Which all of the other ministers and practitioners are pulling from it. So Ernest, when he was writing his columns, because he did for a long time, he wasn't pulling quotes from that. He was pulling it from other places. And the cool thing is that they are digitizing all of the old Science of Mind. So eventually, all of the articles and daily guides from the beginning of the publication will be available through the archives in one form or another. So, and there was another part of that statement and whatever it was. So if you haven't checked out the archives, please do. Reverend Kathy does an amazing job of managing the archives and raising money to do things like digitize all the old copies of Science of Mind. She also was one of the ones that went out and hunted down old copies for anyone where they were missing issues. Okay. So I am perfect and complete. Now, when we say we are perfect and complete, what we mean is we are whole. It does not mean that we are flawless. We don't have to be flawless. We can make mistakes as long as we recognize our mistakes and make amends when we do damage. So don't hold yourself to that standard of never making a mistake. All right. We'll never learn anything if we don't make mistakes. Sometimes that's how our best lessons happen, is when we make a mistake. But know that everything you need, you already exist. It's just like a couple of days ago, I was talking about how practitioners don't give you answers. Ministers don't give you answers. What they do is they shine a light so that you can find that you already have the answers. Or they help you ask questions so that you find that you already have the answers. Because the truth is we don't have your answers. We have our answers. Now, our answers may be similar to your answers, and maybe by telling you our answers, you go, oh, wait, no, I got this. But all we are guideposts to your own inner acceptance. And that's the truth, is that when you look at practitioners and ministers, they've done that work so that they know who they are, so that they can recognize the truth in you when you come to them. Do we do it 100% of the time? No, because we're human and we make mistakes, and that's okay. We have those moments where we step off the path and go, wait a minute. But if you want to recognize the divine in others, you start with yourself. Go look in the mirror and look and see the divine looking back at you. And when you can recognize the divine looking back at you, it's easier to see it in other people. Now, that being said, I do get it that sometimes, because they say, if you want love, go love yourself. Yes, I get it. Sometimes if you want love, then what you have to do is give the kind of love that you want. And that's the same thing here. If you want to see the divine, you got to treat yourself and others like the divine, and then it will make it easier to see it. There was another part to that, and whatever it was just popped right out of my head. So, because of my eye, running, my nose is running, and so I'm just, I'm having one of those mornings. I'm enjoying the cooler weather though, so I'm not complaining. Okay, so let's just start back because I lost my point. I am perfect and complete. If perfect is a trigger word for you, simply use the word whole. I am whole and complete. The first quote is, I have not written unto you because ye know not the truth, but because ye know it, and that no lie is of the truth. 1 John 2:21. So I haven't written to you because you don't know the truth. I'm not telling you something you don't know. I'm writing to you because you know the truth. All right. And then from the Quran, this is God your Lord. All power is God's, but the gods ye call on besides it have no power over the husk of a date stone. Basically, you can create any god you want, and it doesn't have the power of the one God. Which is why I appreciate what the Hindus did. The Hindus said, you know what, there's one God. But that God is too big for me to deal with. So I'm just going to deal with this little part of God. And I'm going to call it this because this is the part I'm dealing with. All right. They recognized that there was only one God. So when people get on you about what you call God, you just remind them there's one God. It's just too big for me to grasp. And what I need is this little piece of God. And this is the piece that I'm going to interact with now, because this is what I've got to do. And as with the mountain metaphor, the only person who's wrong is the one running around the bottom of the mountain telling everybody that they're on the wrong path. All paths lead to the top. Okay? So, there is no power, presence, or person outside of the divine. Period. Because everything is God. It's all God. And when you look around your environment and go, wow, if this is God and this is how we are treating it, we got some thinking to do. It occasionally makes me stand up short on when I look at my house and go, this is my temple, this is my sanctuary. I need to do a better job. I'm working on it. God not only is, God is also one. Our lesson from the Quran says that a belief in any opposite to the one has no power, which is why we say evil is not a power in and of itself. It is a misuse of the one power. But a knowledge of good overcomes evil. The consciousness of abundance dispels want and pours the contents of the horn of plenty into our uplifted bowl of acceptance. And I love how he shifted from cup to bowl. So when we have the consciousness of abundance, it opens up our eyes to all of the possibilities, because Spirit has this infinite way of providing for us. But when we've narrowed our lane, it's like when we won't look outside of the channel, then we miss all these other possibilities of abundance. All right. So John tells us there's no lie in the truth. The truth never contradicts itself. It never denies us our good. It evermore proclaims the divine presence in everything and through everything. All right. This is Ernest. Okay. If God is allness, then there is no otherness. I did a talk one time talking about if there were no others. If we can recognize that there are no others, if we can stop othering each other, life would get a whole lot easier. We'll get there. All anxiety about our affairs today or tomorrow indicates then unbelief. That sentence took me a minute. It was like, all right, so all anxiety about our affairs today or tomorrow indicates unbelief. It indicates a moment of doubt. And we all have them, and it's okay. As soon as we recognize that we are having a doubt, we are having a fear, then what we want to do is reconnect consciously with the one. And drop them, which is what he does in his treatment at the bottom of the page. The ancient sages knew that perfected people find that they already have everything within themselves. Okay? So all of their answers and everything else, they already have them within themselves. After which they discover the same in others. And that's one of the cool things about enlightenment. Because they joke about, what do you do before enlightenment? You chop wood and carry water. What do you do after enlightenment? You chop wood and you carry water. But you do it with a lighter heart. You do it with a more joyful heart. When you hit that point of, I have my own answers, you recognize it in others. Nope, you've got your own answers. You've got your own power. Let me support you in the confidence of your own power. Because my answers aren't your answers. They may be close, but my answers are still not your answers. But if I hold up the light of my answers, then perhaps you can see the light of your own. And that's how we can see it. Because I can't give you my answers. And anybody who comes to you and says, let me give you my answers, they're not quite the answers for you. So when you meet somebody who says, I have the answers for you, run. Run. If somebody comes to you and says, I have answers, let's see if we can help you find yours, that's somebody you can work with. All right. And that's exactly what he says. This corresponds to the teaching that the blind cannot lead the blind. If I haven't found my answers, how can I lead you to yours? But if I find my answers and I'm trying to give you my answers, I'm still blind because I haven't recognized that you have your own. We must know the truth about ourselves before we can know it about others. All right. So then he has this fantastic treatment. The truth about me is that I bear the image of God and therefore am capable of expressing my life perfectly and completely. I know that this very knowledge enables me to be free. Today, I let it free me from the burden of care and anxiety. Every form of fear, every sense of lack is dropped from my consciousness and I walk forth joyously. So that's Ernest Holmes. And I would tell you the mission, should we choose to accept it. I want to use the walk forth joyously, but I think it needs to be a little bit more than that. I think we need to discover we need to discover within ourselves. The mission today, should you choose to accept it, to go and look in the mirror and see the divine looking back at you. And recognize that the divine within you is the same as the divine all around you. And that you have everything you need within yourself. And my cat's over here talking and I'm not sure what he's talking about. So, but that's the mission. All right. Go look in the mirror and see the divine looking back at you. In the process of that, I also encourage you to do the spiritual practice of doing something loving for yourself, doing something kind for yourself, doing something compassionate for yourself. Whatever it looks like, big, small, does not matter. Take a nap, take a walk, take a day off. Or it can be as simple as 3 deep breaths before you speak. It can also be as simple as actually engaging all 5 senses in something that you enjoy. And that can be as simple as a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. Or in my case, since I don't drink in either one of those, a good piece of chocolate. All right. It's about taking the moment and really enjoying it. I want you to practice on yourself because it is a spiritual practice. You deserve your own love. You deserve your own kindness. You deserve your own compassion. And we're better to practice because once you can recognize it and use it on yourself, then as Jesus said, you can use it on anybody. The blind can't lead the blind. So if you can be loving, kind, and compassionate with yourself, you can be loving, kind, and compassionate with anybody else. All right? Discover it within yourself. Practice it on others. So create that habit, that default setting, that first response. Okay. And then all the other things, as usual, I encourage you to engage your mind and your body, drink plenty of water, go get that bright light first thing in the morning, because trust me, right now we need it. I looked at the weather report. It said mostly sunny, and I looked out one side and it's misting, and I'm like, they don't know what's going on. So this is my bright light this morning to get me going. And as always, open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you, you do live in heaven right here, right now. It is all around us all the time. If the mission today is to look in the mirror and see the divine looking back at us, to remind us it's all divine. It's all heaven. It's made by God, of God, for God. And that includes us. So take Emma's advice. Look for the good and praise it. Okay. I need to go blow my nose. Because like I said, my eye is tearing up and leaking down in my nose. So I'm not going to subject you to that. I am going to tell you to have a great day, an amazing day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanting day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. Because you are enough just as you are. All right, beloveds. Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I will be back with you at 9 a.m. Find us on the social medias. We are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. I am the running Rev Ryan. And if you want to know what's going on, because there's always something going on, and we've got, in the next 2 weeks, there's some really cool things going on. We've got a guest musician, we've got a food market, and my ordination is this Friday. Ah! If you can be there in person, great. If you can't, contact us with that email that I just said for the Zoom link. So, because it's not going to be live. We're not going to put it on Facebook Live or anything like that. So, all right, beloveds. Take care of yourself. Know that you're loved. And I will see you next time.